All right, so I saw on the sign they have a no GoPro policy, and they didn't even have to ask. I'm so polite, but I don't know if it's one of those things where they wouldn't have really minded, but I'm glad, because I think for some people it's extremely distracting, either being filmed or knowing that others are filming them. That doesn't bother me. Even though I'm pretty old for a millennial, I'm the absolute oldest you can be and be a millennial, but I'm used to the fact that there is no privacy. But although it's certainly something I value. So it was on lift number 2, engine brake number 1, power number 2, mode A, TCS 5, SCS, I'm not sure what that is, 3, and A1. And I got scolded for doing what they called a wheelie, but I mean hardly at all, but it was just a little bit of gas in those settings. But obviously I have one of the strongest commitments to safety, probably out of the whole group or their whole tour. And the main writer, Rich, knows that. He's a super cool guy, man of color, person of color, and super cool dude. Sweeper, I think, is probably exhausted from all the children that have been trolling her in real life, asking her questions that they know will upset her and stuff like that. So I hope she doesn't look man with them. It doesn't look it, but I'm like 20 years older than they are. But yeah, it did do what they're calling a wheelie. I don't know if it's a wheelie. It's just like the wheel went up. Pretty weak standard for wheelie, but yeah, it's a fun bike. You know, it's not vibey in some areas where the SX1000 is, and it's way more vibey in other areas. It has some nice sounds, you know, with the stock exhaust, the burbles and crackles and whatnot. Now for me, because I like to ride standing up, these pegs cut right into my calf like in a karate way. Super painful calf slicer right here. And this doesn't happen on my SX1000. So if I want to stand up on this, I have to stand up with my knees here and then hovering my crotch over the tank and wave forward. And then also it needs knee pads, but the ergos in this are not conducive to grabbing it. So if you either use your knees to steer, which I do, or your core to steer, which I do, or like to stand up, this is not great, and I'd have to take these off. Also, the seat is so small here because they want you to be able to reach the ground. But then the problem is I'm not even that fat. And it's not even the fat part of my ass. It's like the bone part of your ass barely fits on that seat. So I'm like, you know, regular Joe, and my butt doesn't even fit on the seat. It's like, how fucking tiny do they make these seats these days, you know? But they want to get that low weight, that low price. But with a bigger seat, and these somehow, if I could take them off and on for every time I wanted to take a wife for a ride or make a solo bike. The damping seemed okay. Definitely was hard to get a feel for it, you know. Rich is a really excellent lead rider, and yeah, it was a cool experience for sure.